All right, let's dive into a topic that's been a big conversation within groups like the Culture Coalition, and something author Timothy Clark has detailed incredibly well: psychological safety. We're going to break down why this isn't just some nice-to-have workplace perk, but an absolutely critical necessity, especially when the stakes are sky high in a clinical setting.
Just picture an ICU for a second. The stakes literally do not get any higher. Every single decision, every observation, every word spoken or not spoken can tip the scales between life and death. So in an environment like that, when a team member feels they can't speak up, that silence isn't just quiet. It's a void. It's a critical failure where a crucial piece of information was supposed to be.
And this is the heart of the problem. When people don't feel psychologically safe, their brain switches from focusing on the patient to focusing on self-preservation. They start asking themselves, if I say something, will I look stupid? Will I get in trouble? Could this hurt my career? That internal competition for your own safety just completely severs the connection and teamwork that great patient care absolutely depends on.
And the consequences of that fear? They're huge. People just shut down. They self-censor their questions and they bite their tongues on their concerns. Any kind of healthy debate just vanishes. And what happens is the status quo, even a flawed one, gets fossilized. Bad habits, unsafe processes, they become permanent fixtures simply because nobody feels safe enough to be the one to challenge them.
So, if a lack of safety is the problem, how in the world do we fix it? Well, the answer, and this might surprise you, doesn't come from healthcare at all. It comes from a tech giant that decided it wanted to build the perfect team.
Yeah, I'm talking about Google. They launched this massive internal study they called Project Aristotle, and they went deep. They analyzed 180 of their own teams, the amazing ones and the ones that struggled, using 35 different statistical models. They were desperately searching for that secret sauce, the magic formula that made their best teams click.
And what they found was, well, it was stunning. After all that work, it turned out that the individual talent on the team, the rock star coders, the brilliant designers, mattered way less than the team's internal dynamics. It was never about who was on the team. It was all about how they worked together. They identified 5 key dynamics of successful teams, but one, just one, stood head and shoulders above the rest. It was the single greatest predictor of whether a team would fly or fail.
And that number one factor, it was psychological safety. It's this shared belief, this feeling in the room that you will not be punished or humiliated for speaking up. It's the confidence that you can ask that dumb question, you can admit you made a mistake, or you can pitch a crazy idea without fear of being shut down.
I love how Timothy Clark puts it. He uses this economic analogy. When psychological safety is low, speaking up is expensive. The social and political cost just feels way too high, so we don't pay it. We stay silent. And that means a leader's number one job is to make it cheap to speak up, to get that cost as close to zero as you possibly can. Okay, but how do you actually do that? You can't just flip a switch and say, we're safe now. Luckily, Timothy Clark gives us a super clear, actionable framework. You can almost think of it as a clinical pathway for building a healthy team culture. So this model shows a really clear path through 4 distinct stages. As a team moves up and to the right on this chart, they're basically increasing the levels of both respect and permission that people feel. And as they mature through these stages, they unlock brand new capabilities. It all starts with stage 1, inclusion safety. This is just that basic human need to belong, to be accepted for who you are. From there, you build up to learner safety, where it's okay to be vulnerable, to ask questions, and to learn out loud. Next up is stage 3, contributor safety, which is about giving people the autonomy to actually use their skills and make a difference. And finally, the pinnacle, stage 4, challenger safety. This is that magical point where people feel safe enough to actually question authority and challenge the way things are done. This is where innovation is born. A great way to think about this is that each stage is like a social contract. For inclusion safety, the team gives you inclusion just for being human. For learner safety, the team gives you encouragement, and you give back your engagement. For contributor safety, the team gives you autonomy, and you deliver results. And for challenger safety, leadership gives you air cover. They protect you from the political risk in exchange for your honest candor. Now, getting this balance of respect and permission just right is really, really important, because if you get it wrong, you end up in what Clark calls the leadership gutters. So on one side, you've got paternalism. This is where there's high respect but really low permission. Think micromanagement. The leader might value you as a person, but they don't trust you with the autonomy to actually do your job.
On the other side, you've got exploitation. Low respect, but high permission. This is the sweatshop model. You're given a lot to do, but you're treated like a disposable part, not a valued person. Both of these are absolutely toxic to psychological safety.
So the ultimate goal for any leader is to get this balance perfect. You want to increase intellectual friction. That's the healthy debate, the rigorous back and forth on ideas that leads to breakthroughs. But at the same time, you have to decrease social friction. That's the personal conflict, the fear, and the drama that kills collaboration. You want a culture of intellectual bravery, not personal attacks. And when you get this right, the payoff is enormous for your staff and for your patients. Teams learn faster. They manage risk better because problems actually get brought to the surface early. They innovate. And so importantly, people are happier in their jobs, which is absolutely critical for keeping your best people and, at the end of the day, providing the best possible care. Okay, this all sounds great, but how do you as a leader actually make this happen? The Institute for Healthcare Improvement lays out 3 simple, really powerful, and actionable steps you can start doing today. First, you have to frame the work. Constantly remind your team not just why their work matters so much, but also that it's incredibly complex and uncertain. That framing makes it obvious that every single voice is essential. Second, model fallibility. Be the first one to admit you don't have an answer or that you made a mistake. And third, embrace the messenger. When someone brings you bad news or a tough question, thank them. Reward that vulnerability so they'll do it again next time.
In modeling that fallibility, it can be as simple and powerful as these 7 words. A clinical leader looking at their team and saying, I may miss something. I need your help. Well, that's not weakness. That is an incredible act of strength. It's an explicit invitation for every single person on the team to be a second set of eyes, creating this amazing safety net for the patient. So as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a question to think about. In your own team right now, what is one of those fossilized habits, a process or a way of doing things that everyone just follows, but no one ever questions, that really needs to change? And maybe more importantly, what's the one thing you can do today to make it safe enough for someone to finally speak up about it? Because that first step, it starts with you.